Hi, this is Kelly from The Truth and Story, and I am back and feeling much better. I haven't had my stitches out yet, but they're coming out next week, so I'm feeling better. I have, for the last 2 days, been able to eat some solid food very, very carefully, so that's been nice. I'm doing this video because I have been asked by several people to do it, and so I am happy to do that when I can. And I'm quite excited about this particular deck, which you can see in the subject box. I won't go into my pet peeve about that again, but you can see that I'm talking about the Storyworld cards. Now, I had first seen these cards on Instagram from, I want to say, Lego-Birds, would be at Lego-Bird or underlined bird, and then at Jammy Whammy. And I found them through, there was a July daily like tarot picture, a challenge that was so much fun. There's one coming up, there's a couple things coming up in September, but there's one in particular that I plan on doing, and those are just a lot of fun to follow, and you see a lot of new people and find out lots of decks and things like that. And anyways, I had seen these particular cards on that, from that particular challenge. I thought, what are those? And so I couldn't find, now okay, so let's take a step back here. What I'm talking about, this is an expansion pack. This was the first one that I had been able to find on Amazon. There wasn't a lot that you could get on the United States Amazon. I was able to get this expansion pack, which is a fairy magic, and then there was a pirate or seafaring kind of one, which I might eventually get, but it wasn't as interesting to me as the fairy magic one was. So I was able to pick this up. So I put this up on Amazon, and look who this was by. This is by John and Caitlin Matthews. Now, John and Caitlin Matthews, you know Caitlin Matthews probably from the Enchanted Lenormand. She wrote the complete Lenormand book that I quite like, that I use, and between both of them, they've written many things about tarot, Lenormand, and this kind of thing. Well, these are not oracle cards, no. Now, these are story cards. Now, as you can imagine, given the title of my show, being as the title of my website and my Etsy shop and my Instagram, everything that has to do with me and what I'm doing here is entitled The Truth and Story. And so the idea of story books, writing, this is all something that has been key to me for my entire life, literally, as far as I can even remember back. The idea of story books, writing, all that has been very key for me. You might even know, if you're on Instagram, there was a while back, there was a like 10 things you don't know about me tag that I got tagged on, and one of the things that I had put on there is that last November there's a thing called NaNoWriMo, which is National November Writing Month. And so in the month of November, you can sign up. It doesn't cost anything. You can sign up to try to do this challenge where you write 50,000 words, or a complete novel, or at least you have to at least hit 50,000 words in 30 days. And so I did take one of my short stories, because I do write a lot. I've written mostly poetry and short stories. I do actually have some short stories up on Amazon, which I'll put a link to in the description box. But one of the short stories that's on Amazon, which is A Quiet Place, every time I got any feedback, I had gotten feedback back when I wrote it, in like writing classes, and just sending it out to people, friends, people on Facebook and that kind of stuff. The response was always like, I really love that short story, but I want to know the backstory to it. And so then when NaNoWriMo, I thought, you know what? I'm never going to get like a bigger chunk of something done unless I do something like this NaNoWriMo. So I did the NaNoWriMo. It was really rough. If you do write, I highly recommend giving it a try. I'm probably going to do it again this year, maybe to finish the book or start something new. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do with it, but I'll probably do it again, because it's just that, well, at least for me, and I guess it depends on how, some people it might be too panicked. If you stay on top, I'll do another video. If anybody comments that, oh yeah, we're going to do NaNoWriMo, I will do a video on it because I did learn some things doing it the first time, let me just say. I've worked on the book since, but it's actually the backstory to this particular short story is my rambling point, which everybody's always asking for. So I don't know, I might use that to try to finish it. I haven't decided because I have a couple months yet, but I'm going to be much more organized and planned because that's the key. You have to be organized and you cannot slip behind. Do not fall behind or you'll get dragged under the ocean of word writing. Anyways, so my point being is that story and writing and those kind of things are just so important to me. And so when I just even saw the name of these, that they were Storyworld cards, I'm like, okay, now I really have to look at it. And even on the front of this is Philip Pullman. I love his series. My kids loved his series. Storyworld is a very ingenious idea, Philip Pullman says. And so what these are really for are for drawing cards for adults and children. I really don't think that it has any age on it. For one person or several, parents, teachers, or children, anyone can use Storyworld to unlock their imagination. So you kind of use this to draw cards and help sort of inspire your kids to write stories, or tell stories, just sit around. There's like a game that's not a game, but there's a process involved where you can kind of, I think, do it together and sort of build stories. So it's kind of built for that. But these are wonderful oracle cards, as you are going to see. So this is an expansion pack, and this is the first one I got, and it comes with 28 cards. Now, I will say I have, I quite like this box because it stands up in my bookshelf nicely, but the bottom just slides down, and there is a booklet in the expansion pack that unless you're going to use it for its intended purpose, it's not really. It just kind of goes over. There's some hidden clues in the picture, but it doesn't give you anything on each of the cards. So in terms of oracle use, this guidebook's not really worth anything. And then it does have the spot for cards, which is actually nice, except for that cards fall down behind it, which is kind of annoying. Now, these are cards that I haven't used. I've mixed my two decks together into one oracle deck, so I'm going to show you the cards that I actually like. Before that, but this expansion pack has this blue backing, and on the back it has the name of the card. So this one, which I just didn't particularly, here's another one I didn't. It's the changeling, you know, where fairies will swap out a child with one of their creepy children. I just didn't feel that was quite oracle-y for me, anyways, at least yet. But so it will have the name of it, and then I really find this first line to be quite helpful. So this is the one the fairies leave behind when they take a human baby. Sometimes they're much more helpful. This one doesn't really inspire me too much. And then there's questions, you know, why was he left there and how can he return home? What does he want to eat and how can he get it? What can he get into? So just kind of questions to help you start to think about how could you start writing something about this particular card. But I do find these first little phrases in the cards that I do actually like to use for oracle cards to be quite helpful and stimulating, although for me the pictures do just fine in terms of generating ideas and inspiring you about writing or, you know, thinking about that card in an oracle type of way. So these backings are blue, and there's 28 cards in this particular deck. I'm going to get to the cards, I promise. So then I ordered, I wanted the base set because there is a base set that looks like this. So this is Create a Story Kit Storyworld, storytelling book, and 40 tell your own story cards. So this is the base kit, and then there's a bunch of expansion packs. And so I love this setup. Again, it sits right in my, it sits right in my bookshelf really nicely. This comes with a hardback book called the Storytelling Book. Can we just say how much I love these? Really love these. So we have the storytelling book here. And this book actually has a section that is helpful because it tells you how to play the game and, you know, do things in terms of writing. But in terms of using this as an oracle deck, it does have a section where it lists all of the cards in this Oh, that really messes with the, oh well, you guys are used to it. There's a section that lists it all, because in the original deck, it breaks it into 4 sections: the world of everyday, the land of fairy, the world of magic, and the realm of the court. And they have different borders depending on which they are. And then it breaks down each card, and it goes through all the cards, and it actually has keywords, and then it goes into as if it was the person talking. So, you know, for instance here, the keywords of opening, entering, closing, hiding, you know, those kinds of things are really can start to generate ideas on how you would, you know, would read this as if it was an oracle card. And then it has again, a paragraph as if it was from the perspective of whatever the picture is. So it says, I am the thing you have been looking for everywhere. You have put me down and now you can't find me. I've been waiting patiently for you to remember. The lock you need me to open cannot be undone without me. And, you know, on and on and on, from the perspective of the particular item that's there. So those keywords are actually helpful. The rest of this, again, is more clearly to do with actual using it for a storytelling device. So those particular cards, the original set has sort of a green. It's I know my coloration. It's actually got really cloudy right when I decided to do this, and so it's kind of a green backing. I'm tempted to put the keywords that are in the main deck like on the backs of the cards themselves. It's not like it's a traditional back anyway, so I might put the keywords on. But truthfully, I find these to be so intuitive, these cards are. So what I've done here with this deck is taken from both the expansion and I'm trying to think, I think I left some of these that I don't know, and they may eventually, I put them in. So anyways, the little book slides right here, and then it opens up like a book. Look at that. And then, yes, like some of these, then it opens up and you have the cards in here. Some of these I don't know why I haven't left out. I'll probably end in. But here's the youngest daughter. I think these are just a plain, like the youngest son, the grandmother, which I mean, those would all be ones. I probably just need to put those in. The grandfather, because there's things about, like I just said, I am the keeper of wisdom. Then you have the mother. I keep the hearth bright and care for all those who come to my door. Then we have the father, who is a strong protector who can make anything you need. There's a cat. I am the one who sniffs out secrets in the dark. See, I mean, there's so much you could do with that. And with dog, again, you can also attribute like Lenormand meetings come to me a lot. You know, if it's like the dog card, I do think about loyalty. It even says here, I am the loyal companion who will always be your friend. Those are actually Lenormand meanings. I can see why I left this one out. I am the jester, because I just don't like clowns or jesters. So that probably will stay out. The magic sleep. I am the sleep that silently steals over you. I'm going to put those back into the deck. But, so, okay, let me get these out of the way. Put this back in here. So I quite like the boxes. I think they're packaged really nicely. They stand up here so nicely on my bookshelf. But for the cards that I actually use, I keep out like I keep my other decks out. You know, they sit right up here like my other decks do. So here are some of the cards that they really are stunning, and I probably should do these like down where you can see them better, but you know, I don't know how many people will actually, because it's not a tarot deck, it's not an oracle deck. I am using it as an oracle deck, and I've seen, again, more than one person using this as an oracle deck, and I just think it's phenomenal. So here's the castle. Look at the well of memory. I just used this one actually for a card of the day yesterday. I mean, it's stunning. It's spiraling down into the water. What does this one say? I am the well that ripples with memories. Here we have the fairy messenger, the fiddler, the fairy king. I love this. The star blanket. Look at it. It's like a field of stars, and he's wrapped around, and there's a castle right here. I mean, there's just so much you could go with it. Look at the leaf boat. I love these cards. I want to get more expansions packs for them. The Door to Fairyland. The River, and this even says, I am a magical pathway between your world and the places beyond. The Fairy Deer, and there's so much about lore and lore about hinds, and they're able to cross back and forth between the other world and here. The Fairy Ring. The Healing Apple. The Fairy Shield. Protects against stealthy attacks. The Fairy Charm. The Wild Beast. And again, these are both, this is a mix of, are these all the same? Nope. All the backgrounds are kind of shifting and different. But this is a mix of the Fairy Magic expansion pack as well as the original deck. Midnight Mushrooms, the Rainbow. I bestow many gifts after the rain has gone. The Fairy Godmother. I mean, there's just so much you can do with these. The Fairy Arrow. I love this one. Finds wrongdoers. The Fairy Queen. Look at this. The Spell of Forgetting. And she has all these things in her hair. Just the fairy. The king. So then there's a court of like the king and the queen and the princess. I love this. A talisman. I am the charm that will keep you safe wherever you go. This one I love. The Wildwood. I've used this for a card of the day. The Green Stone. The boundary between the human and the fairy worlds. The Labyrinth. I've used this in a card of the day. The Eternal Flame with the Phoenix. I mean, these cards are beautiful. The Fairy Troop. I'm trying not to make this too long because, again, I don't know how many people will really be interested in this, but the Brownie looks after the house and if treated kindly. The Charm Finding. Look, it's like a, you know, water compass. I am the fish that finds your way. I mean, there's so much you could write about these. The Hill of Playing. I don't know what Isabel is doing. Sorry about whatever that sound is. The Green Children. The Fisherman. Three Wishes. I love this. I've used this one. The Spindle of Loss. I haven't used this one yet, but I love this one. The Spell Catcher. What does this say? Keeps you safe from harmful spells. Look at the key. Again, I just think of Lenormand key. A large Lenormand key. The Keeper of Dreams. The Soldier. I love this. The Magic Mirror. I use this for a picture of the day. I mean, look at this. It's like they're both like looking in a mirror and seeing what it is that they wish. You know, the peasant girl wishes she was the princess, and the princess wishes she had the freedom of the peasant girl. And it's that idea of things always seeming to be better on the other side instead of being, you know, working with what you have. The Wishing Tree. I love this one. I've used this one also. The Man in the Moon. The Merry Shoemaker. The Valley Beyond Time, where time never passes. The Knight. The Princess. The Prince. Isabel, come here. What are you doing? I don't know what she's doing. The Prince. The Homeward Path. I mean, look at that. The path that always leads home. The Talking Bird. What does the Talking Bird have to say? I am the herald who brings news. Kind of like a rider. The Fairy Path. And here's a beautiful Enchantress. Look at that. So I just love these cards. I definitely will be getting more expansion packs. Okay, I just looked it up, and it looks like on the book depository you can get the main set It is $15 for 40 cards, and then the expansion packs are the same price as at Amazon, are $8.99 for 28 cards. And there's quite a few expansions. Again, I haven't really, I highly recommend the Fairy Magic one. I do, especially if you like fairies at all. But I do really like this one. Obviously, it's the only one I have right now. I definitely intend on adding to it. They are fantastic for cards of the day. I do cards of the day at the end of the day on Instagram and Twitter and my Facebook thing, and they're wonderful for that. They'd be wonderful to pull in the morning to just think about what the image says to you. Obviously, you can use them for writing as well. They're about, let's see, size-wise. I truthfully don't. Oh, here's one. It was a card of the day. Or for me, personally, like a card pull. Look at this one. The Charm of Healing. Look at that card. That's a stunning card with like the henna on the palm. There's so much you can, what does this say? I am the charm that brings health to the sick. But there's so much in this card. And there's lots of little things, like there's a scary tree here. There's like, I even ask you, why is a hollow tree frightened? You know, there's a person kind of walking down a path. You really have to look at them after you get, you know, there's rabbits with kind of the henna pattern on it. You've got little faces up within there's often different things up within the borders themselves. So you really do can first get an overall impression that sometimes is just really powerful. And then there's lots of little things that links to other cards sometimes, and just, you know, just lots to pull from. But size-wise, like this is my Sacred Rebels Oracle. So they're definitely large cards, but I mean, Oracle cards to me, okay, Kelly. So they're definitely taller and a little bit wider than Sacred Rebels. That's my biggest Oracle deck. I don't actually have a whole lot of Oracle decks. So they are very, you know, they are large cards. I do have long fingers, but they are big. They are big cards. But again, for me, Oracle cards, I'm never usually, especially for something like this, I'm never going to pull more than one of them, or three certainly. And in Oracle cards in general, I'm only going to pull three at the most. And generally, I'm pulling one card. And so these are perfectly fine. This card stock is typical, you know. It's a little thicker than like Tarot of the Hidden Realms, but not by much. It's very similar to that kind of thinner way that I like cards. It does have, as you can see, it does have quite a sheen on it. They're quite glossy, but not in a horribly obnoxious way. They're not as glossy as, say, my Heindel Tarot. So, yeah, they're stunning. So I just really wanted to come on and show these to you because they're awesome. And again, people have said, what, you know, once I found it, the first thing I saw of somebody, I was like, what is that? And they told me what it was. And then every time I put them up, somebody messaged me on Facebook, messages me in Instagram, Twitter, whatever, and they're like, what are those cards? Like, and I'll tell them, and they're like, you need to do a review of those. So I thought, okay, I will do a review of those. So there we have it. These are the Storyworld cards. Now look down in the description box. I will put a link to the book depository for both of the sets that I just showed you, pretty much all the cards from both of the sets. I'll put links to that there below. I will put a link to the NaNoWriMo in case anybody's writer out there that wants to do that. And a link to my short story that I'm writing the book on, in case you want to read that. So if you're a writer, you know, this is something for writers and also for tarot and oracle readers. It's a multi-purpose, a multi-purpose thing. So this has been a look at the wonderful Storyworld cards. I hope that you enjoyed it. It's definitely made me look at things in a different light of like what you don't have to go strictly with an oracle card. There's another set of game cards that are kind of similar, although much smaller. I found those, I think, on Amazon, and I can't remember the name, so I'm not going to say it yet, but I'll eventually try those out. So there are some cards out there that aren't necessarily made directly for oracle cards, but it's what stimulates your mind to think of things that is the important thing. It doesn't necessarily have to say oracle deck on it, and I've definitely got my mind expanded about that, like with this type of thing, with the charm casting, those kinds of things. Like people, you know, think about it, back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, you know, people didn't have stores that you went to pick, you know, from hundreds of tarot cards or oracle decks. You know, they used playing cards. They used, you know, pendulums for divination because they had, you know, the ability to do that. That's been around forever. They used sticks. They used mahjong tiles. They used, you know, all kinds, you know, just literally sticks with the runes carved on them, or stones with the runes carved on them, you know, tea leaves, coffee grounds. Like, there's so many different ways, because the whole point is to tap into, okay, what does this image trigger into your brain? And so as you get, you know, you more and more used to doing, working with your mind and opening your mind up, these kinds of things can really start to trigger a lot of things, because especially as you have built-in knowledge of symbols, when you, if you really learn the tarot system, you really learn couple different sets of oracle cards. When you learn Lenormand, when you learn all those 36 cards in Lenormand, or the 36 cards of the Kipper deck, all you're doing is placing ideas onto symbols. And so that when you see those symbols anywhere, it triggers sort of that inherent meaning that people across time have kind of started to put on particular. So big giant oak trees have that sense of strength and deep roots. That's just a general cultural, not even cultural, it's a collective unconscious. Everybody sort of has those feelings, and that's why we do have stories like Sleeping Beauty or like Cinderella, almost identical stories across various cultures, because these sort of ideas trigger something in us as human beings to mean something, and it's just access. All we're doing is looking for things to access those hits. You know, we get those intuitive hits based on symbols. And so something like this works beautifully as an oracle deck, because it has so many things that are built into story, which is what, for me, tarot is, that are going to trigger intuitive hits. It's going to trigger, you know, something to tell us from a particular image. So I know I ended and then I continued to ramble, but this is me. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I look forward to getting back into the swing of making more videos now that I can talk without pain. So you guys have a great day.